Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, as Bitcoin continues the short-term bullish trend, we're now just about to run into this significant line of resistance again, as the price of Bitcoin is just now confirming an overbought signal in the short term and starting to cool off, while Ethereum is also now confirming a new bearish divergence, while Solana is doing the same thing again in the short term, potentially repeating history. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before getting into the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about some Bitcoin news today, because potentially one of the reasons as to why we've seen a bit of a pump in the price of Bitcoin just over the last couple of days here and breaking out above this previous resistance is due to the fact that we actually saw some really good net inflows into the spot Bitcoin ETFs on Thursday and Friday. Because as you can see here, first of all, on Monday, we saw a very small net inflow of only $4.5 million. On Tuesday, we saw a net inflow of around $136 million. On Wednesday, we saw a net inflow of just over $100 million. But then on Thursday, we saw a net inflow of over $365 million US. And then on Friday, we saw a net inflow of nearly $500 million, around $494 million US flowing into the Bitcoin ETFs just on Friday. So that's essentially buying Bitcoin on Thursday and Friday is where we had the very large net inflows. And so this was potentially one of the reasons as to why we saw that breakout over the last few days here above this resistance and a pump in the short term in the price of Bitcoin. Once again, because we saw a lot of inflows just over the last couple of days in the spot Bitcoin ETFs, basically resulting in more buying pressure. But of course, the spot Bitcoin ETFs are closed over the weekend because they trade on the US stock market, and the US stock market is closed over the weekend, so we don't have any new inflows or outflows from the spot Bitcoin ETFs over the weekend. And with that being said, taking a look at the weekly Bitcoin chart, and right now we're still seeing that major breakout in the weekly Bitcoin RSI. So like I've said over the last few days, this is a massive bullish signal on the larger time frames, which usually results in a major bull run, potentially over the next few months, even up to potentially a year or so after this signal confirms, as we've seen previously. And so this is still currently there on the weekly Bitcoin chart, so that's something to be aware of. And if we're taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, at least as of right now, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the red, but that could soon flip back into the green, especially if we start breaking out above this previous high, close to around 68 to 70,000, give or take. And if we're taking a look at the 2-day time frame, of course, we still have this massive descending line of resistance, which is sitting at around 67 to 68,000. So ideally, we need to see a breakout above around 68,000 in order to be more confident that we're really flipping a lot more bullish again, not just in the short term, but for the longer term trend, a trend that could last for many months rather than just a couple of weeks. Because as I've said many times over the last few months, of course, during this larger bearish trend that has been lasting for around half a year or so, we can see short-term bullish trends that maybe last for a couple of weeks during the larger bearish trend. And so far, I have already been very bullish in the short term over the last couple of weeks during this short-term bullish trend. But once again, in order for the short-term bullish trend to really turn into a longer-term bullish trend, we need to break out above 68,000. And for now, we're getting very close to that resistance. So that is the next major obstacle. And if we're taking a look at the DXY on the daily time frame, this is still looking bearish, which is bullish for the price of Bitcoin. But over the rest of the weekend, the DXY is closed for trading, just like the stock market and the Bitcoin ETFs. So we won't really have any new information on the DXY over the weekend. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, obviously, as I mentioned over the last few days, we already confirmed this breakout above this key area of resistance, which was sitting close to around 64,500. And so right now, that should now act as new support in case we were to see any sort of short-term pullback. Once again, we should find support at around 64.1k to 64,500. But if we were to see a break back below that area, in that case, we do have some more support at around 63,000 and a major area of support in between around 60 to 61,000. And as for resistance, we do once again have this massive area of resistance based on previous price action and of course the volume profile indicator sitting in between around 67 to 68,000. So that is definitely the significant resistance to pay attention to. and I would not be surprised if the price struggles quite a bit around that area before potentially seeing a breakout later on at some point. But either way, if we can eventually see a breakout above 68,000 with confirmation, so candle closes above 68,000, then in that case, it would become extremely likely that in the next few days or weeks after we first confirm a breakout, we would likely see all-time highs for the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin coming back up towards around 73 to 74,000, which is the current all-time high, and around 73 to 74K, we could find some resistance there as well. But really, if we surpass 68,000, there's a very good chance that in the next few weeks we'll basically be creating new all-time highs if we can actually break out above this resistance, which for now obviously has not yet happened. And so the current situation for the price of Bitcoin is that the short-term trend is still bullish, as I've been saying basically every day over the last few weeks here, but this short-term bullish trend is not necessarily a longer-term trend. Technically speaking, we can still remain within the longer-term bearish trend, this larger bearish trend here. If we see a major rejection from 68,000, that's still a possibility. So we really need to break out above 68,000 in order to basically form a longer term bullish trend and basically continue with a major bull run. But for now, the short term trend is technically still bullish, but we're soon about to run into major resistance. So this will be a make or break moment in the coming days or weeks. And if we're zooming further into the short term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, as I explained in my last video here on the channel, the 6-hour Bitcoin RSI entered into overbought territories, meaning we're running out of room to the upside just in the imminent short term. And so we're essentially due to see either a sideways consolidation, so choppy sideways price action, or potentially a slight pullback, because those are the most common outcomes to reset the RSI out of those overbought territories and back down towards more neutral levels. And once we see a bit of a reset here in the RSI, that actually gives us more room to the upside later on, kind of like what we saw back here, for example, or back here, we saw a bit of a pullback or even just a bit of a sideways consolidation. So a cool down from all of the bullish price action, a bit of a break from the bullish price action. And once again, that resets the RSI, giving us more room to the upside later on to continue the bullish trend later on. And so once again, as I was saying, we are still in this shorter term bullish trend. We can clearly see that this is indeed a bullish trend, but during the bullish trend, we can see the occasional pullback or sideways consolidation. So obviously the price does not move in a straight line, and that's potentially what we're due to see potentially over the next few days. Honestly, over the weekend, I'll not be surprised if we see a bit of a cool off, possibly a sideways consolidation or a very slight pullback just over the weekend, and then we could start to see more volatility in the new week once we reach the new week. And so that is what I'm expecting for the price of Bitcoin here in the short term. Once again, trend bullish, but expect a cool off just over the next 1 or 2 days during the bullish trend. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on an account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but that's only if you use the link down below this video to make your Bybit account. And also, if you use that link, I'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex, which means if you're in the US or the UK, for example, or another country where you might not be able to access Bybit, you can access Bitfinex. So I'll also leave a link to Bitfinex down below this video. And if you use that link, you can get up to a 5.5k deposit bonus. And only if you use the link below this video to Bitfinex, you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the exchange forever. But that's only if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as another option out there other than Bybit, once again, there's Bitfinex, links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and over the last 1 day, we took out a lot of that liquidity to the upside with a little bit more of a short squeeze over the last 1 day. In fact, we liquidated over $1 billion worth of short positions in this region based on this chart right here, sitting in between around 65.5 62,500 to 66,500 approximately. And we still have more liquidity to the upside, sitting in between around 66,500 going up towards around 67,000 and just above 67,000. But with that being said, we still have a significant level of liquidity at around 62,500 approximately. But just keep in mind that between the current Bitcoin price and that much lower level of liquidity, we still have that major area of support right here, close to 64,500, and more support at around 63,000. So even if we were to see a bit of a drop down, potentially closer towards that lower liquidity, of course, there's a strong possibility that we could bounce at either of these levels of support rather than going all the way down to hit that level of liquidity. And so obviously that's why I talk about many different charts in these videos, not just focusing on one chart in particular, because if we did that, then we'd be blinded to other factors that may also affect the price of Bitcoin. But with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now we're still seeing that major bounce from this significant area of support, still sitting in between 2150 to 2.2k, and we still have this level of support right here based on previous support and previous resistance, and that's sitting at around 2450 to 2.5k. And as for resistance, we have this previous Fibonacci level of support now acting as strong resistance at around 2.8k, and 2800 or 2.8k is a significant level on the price chart, because if we can break out above 2.8k, that would be extremely bullish in terms of the price structure here. Would be breaking out above a previous high and also previous significant lows, which would be very bullish price structure on the larger time frames if we can see a breakout above 2.8k, which obviously right now has not happened. But this bullish divergence on the daily time frame is still technically active, because at least for now we've not confirmed an invalidation signal to invalidate the bullish divergence. So for now, this is still actively playing out, as I've been saying basically every day since all the way back down here when the price was below 2.3k. And as usual, a bullish divergence usually plays out in the form of either a bullish relief or at least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So essentially a relief or a break from all of the bearish price action. And if we're taking a look at some other levels of resistance based on the daily time frame right here, looking at the Fibonacci retracement tool from this swing high at around 3,500 down to this swing low at around 2.1k, we do have this Fibonacci level of resistance sitting at around 2670 approximately. And over the last one day, we have just confirmed a daily candle close above that line of resistance. So in the immediate short term, that is a bit of a bullish signal to pay attention to. But so far, we're now retesting that level, and we're sitting right on that level, at least as of recording this video. So we could easily invalidate this breakout if we see a candle close back below around 2660 to 2670. But of course, if we hold above that level in the short term, that would be a bullish signal if we can hold above that level right there. And in that case, we'll likely see a continued relief in the coming days or weeks up towards around 2.8k, which once again is the next significant level of resistance. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout above 2.8k, we'll likely see a move up towards around $3,000 as the next resistance. And so overall, the shorter term trend is still currently bullish, but of course we do have some stops along the way as we run into these levels of resistance. It's not surprising to see the price struggle around key levels of resistance during the bullish trend. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, looking at the 6-hour time frame, we've actually just now confirmed a bearish divergence in the short term for the price of ETH, with the price now confirming higher highs in the candle closes and lower highs now being confirmed in the 6-hour Ethereum RSI, which is of course a bearish divergence. And so as usual, a typical bearish divergence plays out in the form of either a slight pullback or at least a bit of choppy sideways price action. So basically not as much bullish momentum, a break from the bullish momentum. And so just over the weekend, I'm expecting very similar price action for Ethereum as what I said for Bitcoin. Basically just over the weekend, I'll not be surprised if we see a bit of a cool off or a break from the bullish trend. Not necessarily the end of the trend, because of course in the new week, we could potentially resume the bullish trend higher later on. But once again, just for the weekend, just in the shorter term over the next 1 or 2 days, now that this new bearish divergence has actually confirmed, there is a strong probability, a good chance that we'll see a bit of a cool off. So slight bearish price action or neutral price action just for the weekend here. And if we're taking a look at Solana on the daily time frame, we are now perfectly struggling and rejecting from this exact area of resistance as expected, and that's sitting in between around 159 to 163. And now, technically speaking, the trend is still bullish. We have not confirmed a bearish trend reversal despite the price running into resistance. And so once again, there is the possibility that we could see a slight rejection or a bit of a struggle around resistance before eventually breaking out and continuing the bullish trend. That's a possibility. So as always, don't expect the price to move in a straight line. But once again, when it comes to resistance, expect the price to struggle, especially in this area based on previous resistance, once again, in between 159 to 163 approximately. But if we can finally see a breakout above 163 with confirmation, in that case, the next area of resistance to the upside is sitting in between around 170 to 175. And above that, we have another significant area of resistance in between around 183 to 187. And as for short-term support, in case we were to see a bit of a rejection from this resistance, in that case, we're likely going to find some support at around 153, give or take, around 153 to 154. And below that level, we have this significant area of support in between around 138 to 143. And technically speaking, this bullish divergence on the daily time frame is still currently active. But while the bullish divergence on the daily time frame is active, if we're zooming into a slightly smaller time frame on the 8-hour chart right here, we have a new bearish divergence, which is technically now confirmed with 2 red candle closes confirmed in the price, which is starting to cement the lower high in place in the RSI. And now, if we were to see a candle close back above around 159, that would technically invalidate this bearish divergence. But in that case, if we just go a little bit higher and then form another higher high, would likely just reconfirm a new bearish divergence if the RSI is still sitting in lower highs. And so even if this bearish divergence invalidates, if we only go a little bit higher here in the short term to form the next higher high, once again, there's still a strong probability that some sort of bearish divergence will eventually confirm after that, even if this one invalidates. And once again, a bearish divergence usually plays out in the form of either some choppy sideways price action or potentially a slight pullback here in the short term. So with this coinciding with the fact that we're running into key resistance, there is a good chance that potentially once again, just over the weekend, we could see a bit of a break from the bullish trend, a slight cool off, whether that's a rejection or a bit of a sideways consolidation. Either way, we're likely going to see a slight cool off from all of this bullish momentum. But as usual, this doesn't necessarily mean the bullish trend is over. And yes, a bearish divergence can happen at the same time as a bullish divergence if they are on 2 different time frames. So for example, this bearish divergence on the 8-hour chart could potentially play out over the weekend and then start to invalidate while the bullish divergence remains active the entire time. Because remember, the price does not move in a straight line. It's normal to see these slight pullbacks or choppy sideways price action here and there during this bullish trend, which is basically being caused by this massive bullish divergence on the daily time frame. And so that is the current situation for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And that is what I'm expecting over the weekend and moving forward in terms of the trends right now. And as always, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.